What if the first boom of the Lakers season doesn't come from a monster dunk, a blockbuster trade, or a courtside celebrity cam, but from a front court tremor with a price tag of $51 million attached to it? Picture the Crypto.com arena lights dimming for pregame intros, the baseline pounding, and somewhere upstairs a phone lighting up with a simple question. Are the Lakers ready to move a 6'8" scoring forward who can space the floor? In exchange for the one thing this roster hasn't consistently owned, violent, game-flipping interior presence? If your heartbeat just skipped, good. That knot in your stomach is exactly where the franchise sits tonight, perched between loyalty and leverage, chemistry and cold calculus, banners and balance sheets. Before I open the envelope, here's what you're going to get without spoilers. I'll break down why this conversation has detonated right now, how Rui Hachimura became the $17 million per year swing piece everyone is circling, what the cap-to-apron rules really allow, and which archetypes, not just names, could transform the Lakers' identity overnight. I'll map the ripple effects on LeBron's workload, Austin Reeves' touches, the second unit's pulse, and the locker room's gravity. Then, and only then, I'll lay out the actual rumor that's got agents texting and coaches side-eyeing film sessions, draw a bright line between fact and speculation, and give you the exact conditions under which this move would be genius or a gut-punch mistake. I'll stamp my own take, and I'll want yours on record. Before we close, this is Lakers News Fan Report. Smash subscribe, hit like, ring the bell, because when purple and gold decisions break, they don't send courtesy emails. Around here, we talk matchups, minutes, money, and we keep it adult. No fluff, no fairy tales, just basketball and brass tacks. Let's set the scene. The Lakers are a franchise that breathes pressure. Showtime was never just highlights. It was the discipline behind them. The ring in 2020 proved that organization and poise can win in any building, even a bubble. But the West evolves, and windows don't freeze in time. The modern Lakers need three things to run through spring: a perimeter shell that doesn't spring leaks for 8 straight minutes, a secondary shot creation engine that keeps the offense from flatlining when LeBron sits, and a backline that makes layups feel like bad ideas. 2 out of 3 isn't enough in late May. That's why every conversation about this roster finds its way, sooner or later, to Rui. Hachimura's file isn't complicated. He scores efficiently in the middle third of games, spaces from the corners in the left slot, punishes smalls on switches, and doesn't blink in playoff light. He gives you 13-ish on clean splits, can ride a hot quarter to 20+, and he's disciplined enough to live inside the role a veteran-heavy team needs. He is also, at his core, a face-up forward who's better at bending a defense than breaking it, who helps you finish possessions but doesn't erase them on the glass, who contains in space more than he detonates at the rim. That's not an insult. It's a scouting report. The question isn't whether Rui is good. The question is whether he's the exact piece this group needs in the games that define a season. And so, here we are. The lakefront rumor that won't stop buzzing. The headline in whispers, in boardrooms, and yes, in text chains you wish you could read, goes like this. The Lakers have quietly modeled multiple frameworks that would consider moving Rui Hachimura if and only if. It unlocks an interior upgrade with playoff proof, think high-end rim protection, violent rebounding, and enough mobility to survive in space or consolidate salary into a single two-way starter whose presence simplifies roles for everyone else. Real or smoke? Here's the clean line. Reality. The Lakers have run the math as every serious front office does this time of year. Reality. Rui's number, roughly $17 million annually, makes him the rare contract that can pivot your cap table without gutting your top or bottom. Reality. The coaches love his professionalism and shot-making, but are hunting for more paint deterrence and second-chance suppression. Speculation that there's a done package on the table. There isn't. Speculation that the decision is emotional. It can't be. This is geometry, not gossip. Let's talk build. What does a Rui-centric trade even do? In its best form, it converts good into need. The archetype you target is not a name you can sell on a poster. It's a function that survives altitude in Denver and heat in Phoenix. You're looking for a big who plays vertical without fouling, who closes a possession with two hands and a growl, who sprints into the frame late in the clock and blows up a lob you thought was free. You're also looking for a defender who can take the first bump on a rolling 4-5 and not yield 2 feet of real estate, so AD isn't absorbing every car crash. If that deal exists at a number and a term that doesn't handcuff February, you listen. If it doesn't, you put your phone face down and double down on the man you have. There's an offensive subplot people miss. With Rui on the floor, LeBron sees cleaner air at the elbows and Reeves sees friendlier closeouts on the second side. Rui occupies a help defender without needing 10 touches to feel involved. He's also become sneaky good at short clock cuts, the kind that turn a dead possession into a layup with one step and a chest-to-chest seal. Trade that, and you must replace the no-drama points that keep your crowd from groaning and your coach from burning early timeouts. Swap him for a paint patroller who can't catch and finish in traffic, and you'll feel the drop every time the offense bogs against a set shell. But defense travels, and the West is rude. Watch any collapse from the last 2 years, and you'll see it. One failed tag, one late stunt, one offensive rebound turning into a corner three, and then everything tilts. This is why the idea of upgrading the backline feels like oxygen. A real anchor turns good enough possessions into stops. A real anchor shrinks opponents' playbooks. A real anchor changes your fourth quarter math. If Rui is the ticket that buys that anchor without mortgaging your wings and pace, this gets real, fast. Now comes the uncomfortable part, culture and chemistry. Rui's not just a shooter or a size. He's a presence. He's global. He brings an audience that sees itself in purple and gold because he's wearing it. He's steady. Teammates know what you'll get. No media drama, no stupid fouls in the first 4 minutes, no hands on hips when the touch count dips. Moving a player like that is never just basketball. It's the locker room ecology. Who sits where on the plane, who talks in the huddle, whose calm keeps a Tuesday in January from becoming a 3-game skid in February. Any upgrade that torpedoes that calculus is a downgrade dressed in buzzwords. Let's clear cap fog, because this stuff decides seasons. Under apron reality, every incoming dollar is a promise and every outgoing dollar is a risk. Rui's number is the Goldilocks contract, big enough to bring back a starter, clean enough to stack with smaller deals if you must. Not so massive, it requires a third team to play matchmaker every time. But here's the kicker. Moving him doesn't just solve one problem. It can create 2. You tighten your front line and suddenly discover you're short 1 shooter in second units. You pay for rim protection and realize you can't close because spacing just died. The only way a move like this wins is if the roster shape after the trade is simpler than before. If it isn't, you've bought yourself a headline, not a path. All right, you've waited long enough. The specific noise that popped this into prime time, credible chatter that the Lakers have at least kicked the tires on packages that dangle Rui to teams holding excess size, true anchors or near anchors, to see if there's a clean 2-team deal before the market bunches up. There is also the mirror route, flipping Rui's salary into a do-it-both-ways forward with more switch capacity and defensive playmaking, even if you sacrifice a slice of scoring smoothness. The common thread in every version? The Lakers refuse to take back a one-skill big who can be schemed off the floor in May. That's the line. Either you raise your playoff floor in the paint and avoid tanking your offense, or you don't touch a thing. And yes, for the 1,000th time, nothing is signed. This is a team doing what serious teams do, scenario planning before the window slams. Facts versus speculation, one more time for the cheap seats. Fact, Rui remains a Laker as we speak. Fact, his contract is both value and vehicle. Fact, the staff wants more rebounding and rim deterrence without sacrificing spacing and decision-making. Speculation, that a partner has agreed to dance. Speculation that names on social media are anything but noise until both teams see the same movie. Our job is to explain why the rumor exists and how it could actually help or hurt without pretending the ending is written. Now, the basketball we live for. Close your eyes and see it. It's the second quarter in Denver. The Lakers have bled a 10-point lead down to 2 with Rui. You run a stagger for Reeves, Spain action for LeBron at the nail, and Rui ghosts the screen. drifts to the slot, catches, and lifts without a dribble. Clean 3, silence, reset. Without Rui, with a true anchor acquired, you flatten the action, run 2 empty corner pick and rolls with AD as a roller and the new big as the dunker, and slam 2 putbacks in 40 seconds that turn the crowd against itself. Which is worth more in May? Depends on opponent, whistle, and night. That's the point. This isn't about love or dislike. It's about tools. There's another angle. LeBron's calendar. Every minute you don't ask him to be free, safety and hub, and late clock butcher is a minute you get back in late April. Rui helps that load by being self-sufficient. He doesn't demand a babysitter possession to stay warm. A better anchor helps by deleting emergency rotations and reducing the 5-on-4 scrambles that chew the king's legs. Both pathways buy LeBron time. Your front office's job is to pick the cheaper one, in assets, in minutes, in drama. And Austin Reeves? He's the quiet casualty of a badly designed swap. You trade Rui for a big who can't catch on the move, and suddenly AR's pocket passes become turnovers, and his skip reads into the weak corner, turn into pump and pray. You trade Rui for a defender who can guard 1 through 4 and leak into passing lanes, and suddenly AR is playing downhill off live ball changes and his usage is smarter, not higher. The math isn't Rui versus X, it's Rui and AR and AD and Bron versus a new geometry of possessions. If your trade makes Austin's job easier and makes AD's job lighter, you've got something. If it doesn't, you've just reshuffled deck chairs. The locker room? You already know. Vets care about 3 things: roles, respect, results. If Rui goes out and a new anchor comes in, the staff has to land the plane with 100% clarity. Here's your minute band. Here's your closing map. Opponent dependent, whistle dependent, legs dependent. Here's who sits on back-to-backs. Here's who guards which star. Here's the first sub at 6 minutes. Ambiguity is what kills veteran teams, not hurt feelings. Be clean, be cold, be consistent. So what is this really about? It's about choosing an identity now, before the league chooses it for you in May. Are the Lakers a 5-out selection team that wants to win with spacing and brains, asking AD to be the terror who floats from help to havoc? If yes, you probably keep Rui and add rim protection in grams, not pounds. A reserve big who can give you 14 furious minutes, rebound, and get out. Or are the Lakers an inside-out sledgehammer that wants to suffocate the rim, spook drivers, and let Bron AR run an orchestra at 3/4 speed because the game is permanently in your terms? If yes, then Rui becomes the number you test, quietly, respectfully, ruthlessly, to see if the world will pay you the exact piece your film room has been screaming for. My opinion, stamped in purple and gold. I don't move Rui for a nice-to-have or a fragile name. I move him only if I am landing a true playoff elevator, either A, a paint boss who wins you 2 road games in a series by himself with defensive gravity and glass control, and who can finish without killing spacing, or B, a 2-way forward who raises your defensive ceiling on the wing and lets AD live in his best role while LeBron chooses his spots. No half measures. No, he's interesting. Give me a closing 5 solution or give me my forward back and I'll win with clarity. Now it's your turn, Laker Nation. You've seen the same games we have. Would you flip Rui if it meant a real rim protector with playoff credibility, knowing you'd sacrifice some smooth mid-range scoring and low-drama spacing? Would you demand that any deal include clean years, clean money, and 0 "we'll figure it out in July" clauses? Or do you hold Rui, weaponize continuity, and hunt a smaller move that patches the backline without tearing at the soul of the rotation? I want specifics, role definitions, minute bands, fourth-quarter lineups. If you're in, for what profile? If you're out, what's your plan B by the deadline? I'll close with the simplest truth I know about this franchise. The Lakers don't win because they flip headlines. They win because they pick an identity and hunt it without apology. Meter loco means nothing if it's just noise. If this front office pulls the trigger, it must be because the film demanded it, not because the calendar did. If they don't, it must be because the locker room and the numbers said the same word. Wait. Either way, tell us the plan, live it on Tuesdays in Memphis and Sundays in Denver, and watch the narrative kneel to the scoreboard. That's how banners get their address. This is Lakers News Fan Report. Subscribe, like, and drop your blueprint below. We'll be in the comments with you, frame by frame, word by word, until the next vibration on that phone isn't rumor, but reality.